So I am still in the German movement phase of the first turn in Guderian's Blitzkrieg in the introductory scenario. And so what I decided to do is I use my BF 110, which is a fighter bomber, and I try to do some interdiction. And to do that, you've got to take a flak roll, but I took the patrol zones down, and it's just one squadron, so it's got the safest possible activity here. And yeah, he passed the flak roll, so I took no losses, but he failed in his interdiction. He just failed to hit the target, so it has no effect. I decided to try this again, with another airplane in a different area along the railroad track. I think it's a squadron of HE 111s, and they also passed their flak roll, but again, bad dice roll, they don't do any damage. And then I decided to rebase a squadron of BF 109s to Dmitriev Elgovsky to provide some fighter cover for my advancing formations. I don't think that I'm going to use any artillery fire because I want to try to save the supply as best I can. So now I'm still continuing an activity, and the German Luftwaffe actually has hip shot capability, so I can just continue to perform these basic, barrage against adjacent units. So I decided to send a squadron of Ju-88s after the Soviet 9th Cavalry Division, which is kind of blocking where I want to go with the Panzers, and got a very lucky result. We passed the flak roll, but then I rolled a 1/2 result, so I was going to get a DG either way, but on my odd even die roll, I ended up eliminating the unit. So it just opens the way up. And since this is the movement phase, I can just proceed with this division. Then I fueled up the 17th Panzer, which costs 1 supply point, because I know I'm going to be moving them. But before I get going with that too much, I fueled up the 904th Assault Gun Battalion, and I moved it forward to spot against the Soviet 13th headquarters and the whoever else is there in the spot. And so I called in a hip shoot, and I had the Ju-87 Stuka Squadron come in. They passed their flak roll, which is a little bit more difficult because the headquarters has some extra flak artillery with it. And I managed to get a disorganized result. So that's going to cut in half the combat defense strength of these guys. Then I took my 17th Panzer, which was all fueled up, and I drove it right up the trail and tried to overrun the headquarters, the Soviet 13th headquarters, which also had the 54th Cavalry Division underneath it. And I was able to get a 4-to-1 attack in close combat because they are in a village. But I have an attack rating lead unit, which is I can't remember how to pronounce that. But anyway, they have a 5 action rating, and the cavalry is only a 2 action rating, but because it's disorganized, it's a 1. So I got a 4-point differential on the surprise roll, which, surprise, I rolled a 12, so I didn't need that. So I got a shift of 2 columns, so that puts me up into the 8-to-1 column in close terrain, and I get a decent result because, again, I get to add my action rating differential into my combat roll. And so the 54th Cavalry ends up eliminated. I have to take an option, so I let the Armored Recon Battalion go, and that's the 27th, I think. And then the 13th has to retreat. Now, it isn't, sort of looks like it's in a zone of control, but it isn't because those units are in move mode. So the 13th headquarters is disorganized. It has to go to move mode, and then it has to retreat 2 hexes. And then I end up capturing, well, there's 2.5 supply points here where the headquarters was. Unfortunately, I rolled very badly on the capture table, and all of it got destroyed in the fight, so I didn't get to reclaim any supply, so that was unfortunate. Now what I'm going to do is take a few units from the motorized divisions and just individually fuel them for 1T each and move them in to kind of buttress my position here. And I've moved the 17th Panzer as far forward as I can, and I decided to stop it on a minor river which seems to be defended by some Soviet infantry divisions. So now I get to go into the supply phase, and most of my most of the units that were just involved in all this activity were able to be kept in supply by the 47th Panzer headquarters. The only unit that is outrun the supply range is the 7th Recon unit that is at that far forward air base. And so what I decided to do is just pay, I spent the 1T of supply that I had moved up there to be able to supply him, so I don't have to worry about rolling for attrition. But I mean, he's a 5 action rating, so he probably would survive a roll of attrition, but I didn't want to take any chances. So then we look at the position I have west of Bryansk, and that's where the 1st Cavalry is, and they're just basically holding a defensive position there because I'm going around, I'm coming from underneath to try to get at these cities. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, most of my aggression here has been during the move phase and on overruns. I don't really have a whole lot of artillery that I was able to move up line, and so I didn't want to launch too many attacks without having some artillery up there to soften up the target. So I didn't really take advantage of the combat phase so much, but in the exploitation, I was able to use to release the 3rd Panzer from reserve, and that marches forward toward the backfield to the village of Dmitrovsk. And then the 4th Panzer, I fueled it up and released it from reserve, and it moved up to the double rail line between Dmitrov, Elgovsky, and the village of Narlya, which stands in the way of getting to Bryansk. And the last thing that I decided to do was a hip shoot with some Ju-87s in behalf of the 3rd Panzer, but I hit and I got a disorganized result against a Soviet division, but unfortunately I didn't realize it was over a river and that I really didn't want to make an attack at below 1-to-1 odds, even with the surprise advantages. So I got the DG, but I decided not to do the attack. So that's kind of the way it ends. So then I just go to the cleanup phase, and in this case, all I really have to do is take the fuel markers off the units that I fueled up, and then we go to the Soviet portion of October 1st of 1941. So if you would like to see anything into that, I may have some video coverage. Please stay tuned.